Have you ever stared down a problem that's so big, so complicated, you have absolutely no idea where to even start? Well, today, we're going to unpack a powerful framework that's built for exactly that kind of challenge. Let's dive in.
This seems like such a simple question, right? But it's honestly the most important one you can ask. Because think about it. When we get a problem wrong from the start, we don't just find the wrong answer. We end up wasting a ton of time, energy, and money on solutions that were never going to work in the first place. This question, well, it's the starting block for a much, much better way. So, that better way? It's called design thinking. It's this 5-step framework that totally flips the script. Instead of jumping straight to solutions or just guessing what people might need, it forces you to put actual human beings at the absolute center of the process. It's all about discovering what the real problem is first. Okay, so to really see how this thing works, we're going to move beyond the theory. We're going to walk through all 5 steps and apply them to 2 totally different but equally massive real-world challenges. All right, so let's meet our 2 big problems. On one hand, we've got a social impact challenge. How do we get quality education to kids in remote rural areas? And on the other, an environmental one. How do we get rid of all this plastic packaging in our grocery stores? I mean, these problems seem like they're worlds apart, but we're going to see how the exact same framework can tackle both. Let's start with the foundation of this whole process, the first 2 steps. And honestly, these are probably the most important, because they're all about listening and understanding, way before you even think about coming up with a solution. So, step 1, empathize. This is not about sitting in an office making assumptions. Nope. It means you've got to get out there into the real world and actually experience the problem from the perspective of the people living it every single day. It's about deep observation, real conversations, and just immersing yourself in their reality. So, what does that actually look like? Well, for rural education, it means visiting the villages, seeing for yourself the long treks kids have to make, and understanding why things like family chores pull them out of school. And for plastic waste, it's spending time in the grocery store, talking to shoppers and store owners, watching what they do, and really digging into the reasons, like cost, that plastic is just so hard to get away from. Okay, so once you've gathered all those real-world insights, you're ready for step 2, define. This is where you take everything you've learned and boil it all down into a single, clear, actionable problem statement. This is so critical. It's the moment you go from just observing a situation to defining the right problem to solve. Now, just look at how sharp this problem statement becomes for our education case. We're not just saying kids need school anymore. Now the problem is defined by what the users actually need. It has to be affordable, and it has to be nearby. See? That's a truly human-centered problem statement right there. And it's the exact same idea for our plastic waste problem. Notice how this includes the needs of both the customers and the stores. For any solution to actually work, it has to hit all 3 of these marks: eco-friendly, affordable, and convenient. If you miss just one of those, the whole thing falls apart. It just won't stick. All right, now that we have a really well-defined human-centered problem, we can finally get to the part most people think of as problem solving. It's time to brainstorm solutions. This is step 3, the ideate phase. Now, the goal here is pure quantity over quality. You just want to generate a massive list of potential solutions without any judgment. This is where you let your creativity run wild. Seriously, at this stage, no idea is too big, too small, or too out there. Just get it all out on the table. So for our rural education problem, look at this. The ideas are all over the map, which is great. You've got tech solutions like tablets, community-based ideas like training local tutors, and even infrastructure stuff like mobile schools and vans. And for the plastic waste problem, same thing. The ideas are just as varied. You've got big system changes like refill stations, material swaps to biodegradable stuff, and even incentive programs to nudge customer behavior. So you've got this huge mountain of creative ideas. Awesome, but now what? You can't build all of them, right? This is where the final 2 steps, prototype and test, are absolutely essential. It's time to make our best ideas real. Okay, let's get one thing straight. A prototype is not a polished, finished product. Not even close. It's a fast, cheap, small-scale version of your idea. The goal here isn't perfection. It's all about learning. You just need to build something tangible enough that you can put in front of real people and see what happens. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, for education, you could just run a single weekend class using some tablets. For the plastic problem, you could set up one tiny refill corner in just one store. Or even simpler, just offer a discount for a week to anyone who brings their own containers. See, small, manageable, and packed with learning potential.
And that brings us right to the final step, test. You take that simple little prototype and you put it back into the hands of the people you're trying to help. Your only job now is to watch, listen, and soak up all the honest feedback you can get to figure out what's working, what's not, and most importantly, why. So for those weekend classes, you'd ask the students and parents for their thoughts, sure, but you'd also track the data. Did attendance actually go up? For the refill corner, you'd ask shoppers about convenience and cost, but the real test? You measure the actual reduction in plastic sold. That's the proof. So there you have it. We've walked through the whole process, and when you see it all laid out, you start to realize that design thinking is so much more than just a list of steps. It's a complete shift in how you look at solving hard problems. Here's the whole cycle in one shot. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. It looks like a nice, neat line, but I want you to pay close attention to those arrows, because this process is definitely not a one-way street. And this right here is the real secret sauce of design thinking. It's not a straight line, it's a loop. It's an iterative cycle. The feedback you get when you test might send you all the way back to redefine the problem, or it might spark a whole new round of ideas. It is a continuous, powerful cycle of learning and improving. Look, this framework isn't some secret tool just for designers or huge companies. It's a powerful way of thinking that anyone, you, me, anyone, can use to tackle the challenges that matter to them. It gives you a roadmap for turning messy, complicated problems into thoughtful, human-centered solutions. So the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve first?